No, it was not the NFL's fault what happened to Tua, but let's see what happened first. Let's see back-to-back the most obvious concussion I've ever seen in my career, followed by the most severe concussion I've ever seen in my career, which happened to the same player on the same team within 5 days of each other. Let's go. Okay, so watch and listen to the commentary as well, okay?
At the end of the release,
watch again.
The pass rusher came on top of him there. And
it's that replay. You'll see now.
Suffered some type of an injury on
pushed.
This play. We have
Slammed head.
In the game right now.
Looks dodgy already.
Oh boy. Getting up.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, that's an awful sight to see. They will take him.
Horrendous. He's off. It's done. It's done. If you consider the nature of the sport as well, it is done. Nothing to discuss. Concussion. Tua, it's all right. You're out. Don't feel any pressure. You're out, bro. Okay, but he came back in the game. He continued to play, and then he played 5 days later. Watch what happened. Okay, all happened quickly. Slammed. Look at this. Horrendous. Truly, truly horrendous. He's not throwing up gang signs. It looks like he's throwing up gang signs. This guy is out. He's Sparko. He's done. That looks like he's going into a coma. And look at the replay. Oh, slammed. Gone as red. You can see his arms gone. Stiffened up. Right, we've seen both clips. On the first one, he slams the back of his head against the turf. He tries to get up. He clearly almost collapses to the ground, and he shows gross motor instability. The second clip was horrendous. His head got slammed to the turf again, and this time he's out. Not only is he out, his body kind of seized up in what we call decorticate posturing. This is a sign of a very, very significant brain and spinal cord injury, and it's typically the type of posturing we'll see in someone basically in a coma. Not good at all. I'm very jovial on this channel, but this particular situation cannot happen. This player cannot be put at this level of risk for this to happen. If you have one concussion, your chance of having another concussion go up massively. If you don't recover from the first concussion before you have the second one, you can die. You can die. You can die or suffer life-changing injuries and life-changing brain damage. It is as simple as that. Everyone within the NFL knows that. Most sports doctors know that. This cannot happen. I understand the nuances of working in pressurized situations, X, Y, and Z, but this can't happen. With that having been said, whose fault is it? Firstly, it's not the NFL's fault, and I'll tell you why it's not the NFL's fault, because I have reviewed the NFL's concussion protocols, which have been coming under a lot of scrutiny, and rightly so, over the last few days. And to be fair, they're fine. If these were followed to the letter, we would have not had this situation, okay? Let's jump into it, okay? So the NFL has a concussion game day checklist, and they're pretty clear. They're pretty clear, to be fair, right? First thing first, they have no-go signs. So if you have any of these, you cannot continue with the game. Simple as that. So their no-goes are loss of consciousness, gross motor instability, confusion or amnesia. If observed at any point, do not return to play. Tua had gross motor instability. Everyone saw that. You heard the way the commentator spoke about it. So he should not have been able to go back out there. So that's failure number one, okay? With that having been said, even if you might not have seen that for some unbelievably impossible reason, the sideline survey includes looking for no-goes, but also looking at the history of the event, looking at concussion signs and symptoms, but it also has a video review. So if you didn't see it the first time, the video review would have shown you. What the Miami Dolphins actually said at the time is that he had some sort of back injury, which is why he was walking like that. Made no sense. Do not understand it. So the NFL guidelines were not at fault here. It was the application that's at fault here. Furthermore, the NFL have gone one step further, and actually, in addition to the club's doctors, the team's doctors, they actually at each game have an unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant, okay, who's supposed to be impartial and independent from any club and board certified in neurology, emergency medicine, physical medicine, rehabilitation, or primary care, okay? So they have an independent doctor separate from the teams, okay? And their job is to this, and I quote, be focused on identifying signs or symptoms of concussion and mechanisms of injury that warrant concussion evaluation. They work in consultation with the head team physician to implement the concussion evaluation and management protocol. So they got a separate doctor on top of the team doctors to look into this. If the principles were applied, this shouldn't happen, and this can never happen. This can never ever happen again, because you will one day see an athlete die on that pitch, and you don't want that to happen, okay? So it's not the NFL's fault. Whose fault is it? Four people. In fourth place, I'm going to have to say the player themselves. I'm sorry, you're accountable. As an individual, you're accountable. I understand that you are an elite athlete. You're a warrior. You go out there in a very violent sport and you want to play through. But if that type of thing happens to you, you need to realize that your life, your brain is more important than one single half of a game. And we actually, within elite sport, do try and educate the players regarding concussion and say, listen, if you're having concussion symptoms, tell us, because it can save your career, it can save your life. So I have to give Tua a little bit of the blame pie. In 3, I'm going to say his teammates. His teammates saw what they saw. And, you know, your brothers in arms, your brothers in arms. So you'd think they'd say, listen, no, or coach, no, man, I trust me, I saw him, he was out, he was Sparko, this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? A little bit of that. And I have had it in my professional career that players have come up to me and said, listen, I think he was concussed, why did you let him play? Or I thought he was injured, why did you let him play? And you got to explain it. And I think, in a way, I like that. I like the fact that they look after each other like that. And I think the teammates hail some responsibility. I think the coaches are probably at number 2 here. I give them the benefit of the doubt because they defer to their medical staff, and as a medical staff, I'm always saying, the coaches should defer to us on certain things and take our expertise, X, Y, and Z. So I can't be a hypocrite now and say, if the doctor said he's all right to play, the coach can play him. But again, you saw what you saw. Everyone saw what they saw. And I just wonder, where is the humanity in this situation? And number 1, and this is very rare, it's very rare you'll catch me do this, but I have to blame the doctors. Now listen, I'm empathetic. I have worked in situations where you are under significant pressure. I've worked in leagues that get more views than the NFL by 10x, okay? And you feel the pressure and you feel, you're thinking, well, how can the player come back? And you do feel a certain level of pressure. But end of the day, you're a doctor, okay? You've made oaths, essentially, okay? And you have a duty to protect the individual. First, do no harm. You have that duty. And if you step aside in that duty, you are in trouble. So I don't know exactly what happened, okay? I don't know if it was more incompetence or just didn't see it or lack of information, or it was more one of those ethical things where the doctor, the healthcare professional, is feeling that what we call soft pressure to get the player back. The player's saying, I'm fine. The coach is saying, you need to make a decision. And you feel that soft pressure. And in that split second, you just make the wrong decision. I don't know, and I can empathize with it. But that doesn't take away the accountability. In my mind, the accountability in this case is on the doctors. I feel more comfortable in saying it now that independent doctor who was involved in that was fired. He was fired. He was found to have made numerous errors. So it's not me just having a dig. But that's what I think. I support all the doctors in sport doing the best they can. But in this occasion, they were to blame. And I just hope it's a lesson for other doctors, for other people working out there in sports, for players themselves to reflect and think, listen, this ain't worth your life, okay? This ain't worth your life. It's your profession, but it's not your life. And that's my thoughts. If you like this breakdown, we got other breakdowns. Check out my latest video as well. I'll leave it up there. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.